Good Monday morning, everyone. I am David, and I am your chaplain here at Progressive, and this is this week's Monday's Motivation. Think back to the last time that you were thirsty. I mean, really, really thirsty. Maybe you were on a job site somewhere and it was just dusty and hot, or maybe you had just come in from a long run or from working out and your mouth was dry and you'd do almost anything just to have a drink of water. Now think about when you took that first drink of water. It was probably extremely satisfying, unbelievably refreshing, right? Now, as you took that drink, have you been thirsty since then? Well, sure you have, right? Water is intended to quench our thirst for a moment, but it cannot satisfy our thirst for a lifetime. Now, in John chapter 4, Jesus goes to a place called Samaria. And Samaria was enemy territory for the Jewish people. And the Samaritans hated the Jewish people, and the Jewish people hated Samaritans. And here we have Jesus going into the heart of enemy territory. So he goes into Samaria, and he sits beside a really famous well. And he sends his disciples on into the town to get some food. And as he's there, he's sitting there in the middle of the day, and he notices a woman begin to walk toward him down the road. And at this point, Jesus is about to break every social norm of his day. You see, Jewish men were not to speak to other women in public unless it was your mom or your sister, someone in your family like that. And the only time that you would speak to a woman in public is to speak to a prostitute. And through reading John chapter 4, what we kind of figure out about this woman is most likely she was a prostitute. And so she comes to this well, and Jesus begins this conversation with her. And he begins to teach her about two different types of wells. The first type is the one like she's coming to, where she's going to come and she's going to draw water, and then she's going to go back and she's going to use that water, and then she's going to come back the next day. And it's just this never-ending cycle of drawing water each and every day. And Jesus then turns the conversation and he offers her something better. He actually offers her, he says, what if I could offer you water that is not like a well that you draw water out, but it's like an artesian well. It's always full, it's always satisfying, it's always overflowing. It will never, ever run out. Well, that's pretty awesome, right? And so Jesus in John chapter 4, verse 14, this is what he says. He says, "The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." See, Jesus is using a metaphor here to teach us about the life that he offers. Jesus is saying the life that he offers is not like a well that you always have to come to draw out of, but it is a well that is like an artesian well that's always overflowing within us, always full, always satisfying, always there for us to satisfy and to refresh us for all eternity. And all you have to do is come to Jesus to receive it. So what are the wells in your life that you are in that never-ending cycle of returning to? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a certain temptation. Maybe it's the allurement of wealth. Well, I want to encourage you to look to Jesus. Go to Jesus for real life. Life that never ends. Life that is always abundant and satisfying. See, Jesus' life is a lot like that artesian well. And Jesus actually tells us in the book of John, he says, "I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly." Jesus offers abundant life to you today. Come to Jesus to receive that. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome, a safe, and a productive work week.